Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the One Point Safety Show for another week with myself, Scott Hartley, and my glorious co-host, Scouse Andy. How are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Bit cold in here, so I've got the all
I see that. Yeah,
Redskins with a hood,
you,
nice little
you
dressing gown.
you look like you're ready for a bit of a party. I'd see you at the Playboy Mansion with that on.
Yeah, I wish I was going there, mate. Tell you.
Definitely, you've had a busy week. You've been on more podcasts than you've had hot dinners this week. I think you've been keeping Burrows and Freddie honest in the bunker. I see. So yeah, shout out to them as well. Shout out to that show. It's been good to listen to for the last couple of weeks. So yeah, we haven't got much going on this week, really. We're going to just review the combine. We've got a Scouse's sizzle. We've got a little bit of news out of Commanders on the sale and a little bit around who we've picked up. And then we've got a bit of a wish list from the top 50 free agents that are on the market because we're coming into the tampering period now. And we'll talk a little bit about the franchise tags that was put on in the NFL. And we'll really take it from there. So yeah, just a bit of news then, Scouse, that's just come out. We signed a guy from Kansas City, wide receiver called Kemp. I can't remember his first name for the life of me. Kind of a special teams dude. It looks like he's the replacement for Cam Sims, to be honest with you, and could be a special teams ace is what I've heard on him. Don't really know a lot about him. Don't know if he can return kicks or punts. No idea, really. All I know he's big dude, and that's about it.
Yeah, he's a big lad. He's basically Cam Sims 2.0, isn't he? He's exactly the same build. I think he's like half an inch smaller, something like that. It's not a massive difference. But in general, I think he's there really to try and help the rest of the team acclimate to the enemy's offense, his actual scheme, because I say it's going to be a little bit different for them all. And I think there's someone just having some guy there, even if he doesn't even make the team. I mean, if he's not good enough even to get in the team, or even make the 53, he's still going to be teaching our guys how to actually how to do his scheme anyway. So he's definitely a useful piece, and he's there cheap anyway. So we're not expecting any miracles from him, to be honest.
Yeah, really interesting though that we've only got 37 guys under a contract at the minute, going into the off season. So
there's plenty of time.
There's plenty of time, and I'm sure with Indianapolis happening this week at the combine, a lot of deals will have been done down the line or in secretive while all the NFL executives and head coaches and stuff are talking to each other. So I'm sure there'll be something that will come out of the woodwork soon. Only a tiny little snippet of news, really, from listening to Kai's podcast, and a few other national journalists around talking about the sale of the team. We seem to be no further forward, but it looks like there are two other bidders who are unnamed. We don't know who they are. There's a bit around the Houston Rockets owner? I can't remember his name for the life of me. That came out as well. I'd have to research that a little bit more. But there are apparently two blind bidders, and we don't know who they are. So it'll be interesting to see who they may be.
I just think Dan's not going to sell the team unless he gets his guarantees that indemnity that these guys, that no one can come after him after he sells it. That's what it is. Because if everyone's going to keep going after him when he's gone, they're going to keep trying to take his money, you see, because that's our whole point. Try and make him broke. So I think that's his thought process. It's like, well, I'm not going to sell it unless the NFL take the guarantees of you're going to leave me alone, and everybody else is going to leave me alone and not come after me like years down the line. And if they don't do that, then it's going to be very difficult, because what I've read is that they're not going to be thinking about doing. The owners' meeting happened, didn't it? Was it yesterday or the day before?
Yesterday, yeah, the owners' meeting,
and Snyder wasn't on the agenda, so so they haven't voted him. They haven't voted him out or anything like that. So again, that's frustrating and that's a bit upsetting as well. But what else can you do? I think it's a very difficult. It's going to be a difficult negotiation. Whoever's going to try and get it.
Yeah, I think I heard that we're pushing towards July now is the next deadline, which is quite disappointing for him to hang along that long. I'm hopeful that, we will see something in the next couple of weeks. I don't really want it to drag out that long, but I do think he is going to sell. I'm still on that train of he is going to sell, but when that is going to happen, who knows? But at the moment, obviously, a lot of it is leading into our free agency. Free agency starts, the legal tampering period starts on Monday. I think the league season starts the week after, around the 17th. So you can then start signing players. And obviously, as I said before, we've just had the combine this week. Or last week, sorry, and the weekend. A lot of deals will have already been done. A lot of trades will have happened behind closed doors. So we'll start seeing them coming out from the national press. And I don't think we will have any sort of cap space or any real big splashy moves to do any of that at all. 16.5 million in cap space at the minute is going to be a bit of a struggle, to be honest, to try and get this team to where we want it to be. But obviously, I've listened to Ron Rivera, and he was talking while he was in at the combine, and he was saying that, you know, he's looking for favourable deals, which whatever favourable deals mean with free agents.
That means bargain basement shit. That's what that means.
It really does.
Cheap and nasty. A body might do something that's then that kind of changes expectations. But most of these guys are just going to be kind of bodies. Just aren't going to do much. No production or very little.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there, to be honest with you. It's really difficult because of the money situation where we are, because as you said on previous pods, you know, Snyder's not in a position, he's not cash rich. He's not in a position to sit there and sign people to massive signing bonuses. Mm-hmm. That is not going to happen. And I don't think he can put this on the new owner, because we don't know who that's going to be, because quite obviously we're no further forward than we were when he decided to get Bank of America through the door. So as it stands, it's going to be quite a difficult season, you know, with not a lot of cap space to go off, because we've placed the franchise tag on Daron Payne, which we'll talk about a little bit further on. But yeah, I'm in agreement with you, Scouse. I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle this year, and I think we're going to be in the bargain basement trying to look for your retreads or your, you know, second, third tier kind of guys that are coming out, and hopefully get a hit on them and then supplement with what you can in the draft, because that's all we really can do.
Yeah, I mean, that shows like that how important this draft's going to be, because we're not going to be able to get quality dudes in free agency. We're not going to be able to do it unless, you know, I'll go into a bit later with Snyder, but unless he does something a bit silly. You know, so yeah, it's going to be a bit frustrating, really.
Are you going to stick at 16 then, or if you were in this position, or would you be actively looking to trade back now? Because I think for me, the situation we're in at the minute with the money and not having a lot of picks because we gave up draft capital for Carson Wentz, it's put us in that hole.
We got it back, though, didn't we, with a compensatory pick? So
it's technically a fourth rounder, that really, you know,
it's the end of the third. It's the end of the third. Yeah. I mean, I get it, but I mean, for me, it depends who's there. Because me, I'm always a guy who is more about need. Like most guys are like, no, best player available every single time. Now again, you can get but if you've got like three quality dudes, there's no point getting a fourth in that position if you're struggling in other places. You see what I mean? So for me, it's kind of like I always look at need, really, positions of need, and go from there. So for me, at 16, there's a couple of guys that I want, but they may be gone before 16. So if that's the case, then I may look at trading down a little bit if we can get a trade partner to go down to maybe the early 20s, something like that.
Yeah, that's where I'm looking at.
It just depends. For me, I mean, if my number one choice, if he's there, is Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback from Oregon. I looked at his tape. I looked at the combine as well. He is so smooth, mate. It's unreal. Like, makes it look so easy catching the ball. How quick he is with his hips. He's so fluid, honestly. He's going to be a great cornerback. And he'd suit our system well, because we don't do a lot of press man, really. And he's more of a kind of zonal type dude. You can do a little bit of man. So he'd suit our system perfect. I just think he won't be there 16 because of the combine. I think the combine might have knocked him up higher than he's been. I mean, he was always going to go high anyway. Don't get me wrong, but I think he might have just dropped down to 16 for us if he didn't have a good combine. But I think he had a great combine. So for me, he won't be there. But and my second guy, if he's not there, is Witherspoon.
Yeah.
Again, not seeing him in combine because he was injured. So waiting for his pro day next week. And see how good he does there. And if he's there again, I'm getting him. And if he's not there, then for me, which he might not be there, then I'd look at trading down and then getting myself a tackle. that's my plan. Being honest with you,
Yeah.
So
I couldn't agree more with you, and you've took the words right out of my mouth. And that was an absolute epic, seamless transition straight into our next segment, which was on the combine anyway. So for me, the bits I've seen of it, watching it on Game Pass, a little bit here and there, I couldn't really pay that much attention to it, to be honest with you. We had some standouts, obviously at the combine, especially in the quarterbacks. I mean, Richardson from Florida was just, his measurables were incredible. What he did.
I mean, this is the thing with Richardson. You got to be careful with this dude. I mean, I'm a Gators fan as well, by the way, for people who don't know. And he played for Gators, obviously. And his accuracy is shocking. It's fucking, it's dung. Do you know what I mean? And even at the combine, he did a few loose passes under no pressure. No 300-pound guys trying to run after him, take his head off. You know what I mean? And there's a few dodgy ones there. A few dodgy throws he did. I mean, yeah, measurables, unbelievable. He is an absolute beast. He's 240 pounds. I think he's 6'2", 6'3", something like that. A ridiculous jump and height. He is the
one of prototype. 4'4", 440.
And he's built like a running back. Do you know what I mean? So like a genuine running back who can take the pound. And so I get where people are going to go, oh my god, this guy's amazing. But honestly, he's going to need a year, maybe even 2 to sit. To be honest, to improve his accuracy. I mean, for me, he's not a day one starter. And if you play him a day one starter, you're going to have some major teething problems. So
yeah, I really like the look of Will Levis. Obviously,
he looks more accomplished.
Lots of talk around him going to Indianapolis, and he's the third one off the board. We're not in the position to obviously look for him.
He's exactly what you look for in a quarterback, really, isn't he? He's like 6'5". He's got that poise, those type of things. He's got a rocket arm. The only thing I would suggest, though, he needs help on his mechanics a little bit when he's throwing to his left. Yeah, what I was noticing from the combine is that he kind of throws his arm right across his body. He doesn't open his hips up enough.
Yeah, it was very wide, wasn't it?
Yeah, and right across himself, which will make him less accurate going there, like on the regular. You know what I mean? So, and obviously, what teams are going to do? They're going to scheme against him, make him try and throw to the left all the time because that's his weak spot. See what I mean? So he needs a lot of polish on that kind of throw. But the deep ball, yeah, class. Dead smooth. My most impressive one, because obviously Bryce Young wasn't there because he was a bit of a fanny and didn't want to compete against the big boys. Because he's small and he didn't want to compete against these guys. Was CJ Stroud. I mean, he looks smooth as hell, mate. Honestly, so impressed. Every throw on the dot. Don't forget.
So is he your QB1 first overall pick off the board? Do you think
he would be mine from what I've seen from combine and from his tape? But then obviously we understand, he's an Ohio State quarterback and he don't normally do well in the NFL.
Yeah.
But he has got the normal size and arm what you would normally expect from a guy of a top 5 pick. And he looks so poised. You know what I mean? Like for me, he would be QB1, but obviously I've not seen Bryce Young. Like if he was at the combine and see what he could do and how he was kind of like measuring up against these guys, then he might still be number 1 because everyone knows how good he is. He's very cerebral. He's very smart. He can see all these things. He reads defense like nobody else, which is true. He does. But my problem with him is that he's small and he's dead slim. And if he gets whacked a few times, mate, he's going to get injured early.
He's the same size as Kyler Murray. Exactly the same size as Kyler Murray.
Well, look what happened to Kyler Murray. What was the second season ACL?
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So these things aren't good long term. I mean, it's great if you've got to run a guy who's lightning fast and can get your yards or points when you need it at the most. But the thing is, if you do it regularly, the percentages are they're going to get smoked and they're going to get hurt. It's as simple as that.
Totally agree with you. And I mean, we've already covered Darnell Washington and Christian Gonzalez. The only other one was
Washington. We didn't mention Washington.
Sorry, did we not? I thought we did.
With a spoon.
With a spoon, even not Washington. Where did I get Washington from? I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway,
tight end.
Yeah, tight end, exactly.
Yeah. Tight end guy.
Voorhees. We're going to talk about him with his ACL.
Yeah. What a shame, man. I mean, this guy. I mean, even before the combine, he was my guy. I was looking at in the 3rd round. If he was still there, I'd be selecting him. It's just such a shame that he blew his ACL. But then shows the quality of the actual mentality in the person to actually go, instead of just crying about his ACL and our whole draft is ruined and all this, he went out the next day and then benched 38 reps on the bench.
Unbelievable.
You know
38 reps.
And I think it's the highest ever for anybody ever. So, and just to go out and do that, even though he's blown his ACL and he's there with some bloody big long ass knee brace on that keeps his knee straight, crutches, to come out and do that. It takes a lot of mental fortitude, to be honest.
It does. I
Yeah,
wanted him in the. I was
so
quite happy
tip.
spending a second round pick on him. That was where I've seen a lot of mocks and seen a lot of people mocking him to us as well. And yeah, I was quite happy spending a second rounder on him. You know what I mean? Thinking, yeah, this is a guy that you could plug in and play straight away. I mean, you were saying before we recorded that you'd still potentially take a flyer on him if his draft stock drops because of this.
I would. If he ends up in the sixth or seventh, then I'd take a flyer on it because. Okay, he's out for next season, yeah, sure, but you're getting a third or second round caliber quality guard, like you mentioned there. You would have took him in the second, in the seventh round. Just not this season that you can get him involved. But for me, I think that's definitely worth it if he's there. But he might not be there. I think some guys are going to take him probably fourth or fifth.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like remember the Dallas guy, the linebacker. He had a blown ACL and he went in the second round, didn't he? What's his goddamn name? He's not there anymore. He got cut there a few years back.
No, I can't remember it.
The name will come back to me. But basically, yeah, he's one of the better linebackers, but he blew his ACL in the championship game at that year. I think it's about 4 years ago now. And he was meant to go first round because he was the best linebacker. He was a pass rushing linebacker, etc., etc. Then he blew his knee. But he still went in the second round. Dallas still selected him in the second, so he might not drop down as much as I think. But I'm hoping that he does, and I'll snap him up 100%.
So that was it really for the combine. I mean, they were my highlights as well. We kind of watched a little bit of it, both of us, and we chatted a bit on WhatsApp and stuff.
I mean, all the running backs, but the running backs is deep, man. It's deep. All these guys, man. Especially like towards the end, the kind of like the last two kind of teams, the groups, like they put them in groups, you know what I mean? And they were something else. I mean, they were fast. They all could catch very, very, very little drops going on from these guys. Smooth. It'd be very hard to actually mess it up if you're going to select one of these running backs because there's that many of them in there. If you pick a bad one, mate, you've done a really bad job because there's so many good ones.
It's really interesting, isn't it, that we've got this? We've got really deep class this year on corners, really deep class on offensive linemen. We've got really deep class on running backs as well, but that's about it, and you've got obviously the standout QBs. You've got 3, you know what I mean? Maybe 4 if you want to push it that way. Everything else, you're struggling. I mean, there's talk of Kincaid and Mayer that they're generational tight ends, but there's not a massive amount. The drop off from there is quite big. Whereas you always tend to have one group per draft that you go, this is the group that you're going to get a QB. This is the group where you're going to get offensive linemen.
People, what I've listened to is but like every year they say the same thing. This year isn't the best for QBs. It's the year after, etc., etc. happened.
It's always the year after, Scouts. It's always the year after.
Exactly. But there's a few guys coming out next season that are pretty sharp. To be fair, I just think we're not going to be in the position to get one though. That's the problem because as we mentioned on previous shows, we're not going to be picking second or third or first in the draft. We're always going to be about bloody 12 to 16.
Yeah, you pick me all the time. You pick me up on Burrows picked me up on the bunker pod about this too. Just to clarify, I am on the Sam Howell train. I do want him to be.
Yeah, whatever, dude. You want us to tank so we can get in.
But honestly, I don't want a perennial 8-8, 7-9. Picking 13th, 15th, 16th, thereabouts, because you just can't do enough to get further up the cap, or up the draft.
It's like you get good players, but you're not getting elite players.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, isn't it?
And I think Coach Tomlin said it, to Chase Young when he came out in his first year. It was the quote of the season was, "I've got to lose at least 13 games to get something like you." You know what I mean? And he's right. You've got to be, looking at records like the Texans, the Colts, the Bears, them sort of teams where, or you have draft capital through trading top players, you know what I mean? And you end up with 2 or 3 picks in the first round that you can then divvy up to get yourself further up the draft. But we're perennial 7-9, 8-8, middle of the pack road team. And
I'm just going to throw out a little scenario for you. Now, again, it's a little far-fetched, but see what you think. So Washington package up Payne and Sweat to Seattle for pick number 5 this year. Then once we've got pick number 5, then we drop down them and get more picks and more picks. So go down.
Or would you trade that? Would you
9.
trade? Yeah, would you trade pick 5 for something else and so on and so on?
Yeah,
keep going
exactly.
that down
and go back down a little bit. Maybe not down to 16 again, but don't forget we'll still have 16, and we'll have number 5, and then another or 2 because at 5 there's going to be those QBs there. So that someone's going to come up. They're going to be there. So
yeah, you're looking at the Panthers or someone like that that's going to try and
so you could have like maybe 2 to 3 first rounders coming just because of that one trade. Now again, we're looking at we got to get cheaper, haven't we? Let's face it, our team's got to get cheaper. We haven't got a lot of cap space. These guys are going to want paying and serious money. Sweat's on his last year of his deal as well. He's going to want paying next season. So these 2 guys, if we package them up to Seattle have actually got the cap to be able to afford to pay them long term, and they're higher up, and they've got multiple picks themselves, and they don't need a quarterback because Geno just re-signed.
Yeah, I think
it's a great little idea, but I don't know if they'll take it.
I think the only other 2 teams that have got enough cap to pay them sort of players are your Bears and the Cardinals. I think have got quite a decent cap space as well. Other than that. Yeah, you see.
Yeah, Seattle's got enough,
and that's it. And that's it.
I mean, there's about 5 teams you can probably afford them both at the same time. But the thing is, though, I mean, you're losing a possible, or you're losing an elite tackle, and Sweat's like kind of on the borderline of is he elite? Is he not? He's just very good, But these guys are like, let's face it, they're too expensive. They're going to be too expensive for us to keep. For me, priority 1 is getting Curl re-signed up long term, and do it now rather than next season. Because if he balls out next season, even better, he's going to want some serious corn. I mean, it's going to be bad enough as it is now. I mean, if he has a great season, he's going to want 20 plus, as in 22, 23 plus, which is going to kill us again.
What's the highest? Is it Jalen Ramsey is paid the highest? Is he at the minute? I think is he on like 24 something like that?
As a safety.
Oh no, sorry, who's?
A safety, Darwin James.
That's right, yeah.
19 mil per year he's on.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's what I mean. And he's going to want around that now. So if he has another great season, just like we are waiting now, our problem now is that we're waiting too much right now, and our players are playing well in their contract years, and then we're getting shafted as a team because of it.
What I would say is to play devil's advocate here, I would look at it and say we're going to have 124 million cap space next year.
Why?
Is that that's what I've seen from?
Yeah, but why though?
Coming off.
Who we're losing?
Well,
there's going to be a lot of dudes coming off because Samuel's going to be off, Gibson's going to be off. But I would say Gibson's cheap at the moment, but Samuel will be gone.
Samuel's what, 13 mil, is he?
And something like that, 12 mil. I think it's like 12 mil, yeah. Leno will be gone probably next year.
Still got to pay Chase Young.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Could you make it work? Maybe, but it's painful, man. It's a painful.
It is, and this is the thing. We always knew that when you're picking first rounders across the whole of that D line and the edge class, you're going to struggle. And this is the year where it's finally coming to a head. Where it's, do you keep this player? Do you get rid of that player? And the franchise tag only works once, and then. How do they manage it? Is it the top 3 within the position and they average the salary out and say that's what it's going to be?
Yeah, and then if you take a tag again, it's 120% of
that's
that.
Right, yeah, 120%.
So that's why no one gets past this. Because I think after that it's another 100. I think it's like another 140% after that. So that's why no one ever gets paid a third
on the third tag. Yeah.
And maximum is only 3 tags as well per player.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
but no one's ever gone to a third one because of the price. But yeah, I mean, but I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, that could be something that would weaken our defensive line. However, we have got some good players there. We've got some depth there at the moment. We've got
Ridgeway's there.
We've got Mathis. We've got Hill, Smith, Williams. You can do a job at defensive end. It just needs that Chase has got to become the real deal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the only thing about taking out Tez and Payne, So it's risk. It is a risk, obviously, but it's kind of like, is it worth it to get us cheaper so we can improve in other areas?
I could potentially see a tag and trade type deal for Payne, definitely, but I'm not sure if you'd add Sweat into that mix because I think they really do like Sweat and I think they actually want to pay Sweat. I think they actually like Sweat more than Chase Young. I'll be honest with you. I think that's where this
trade that
team
then.
see it.
Trade him instead then.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, you could easily get rid of one of them. Definitely get rid of one of them anyway. Depending on which one you like the best, obviously, and how much money it's going to cost. You know, but
and Seattle need edge rush as well. They need edge help,
and they need a DT as well. They need DT as well. So it's perfect for needs, but it just depends if they're willing to do it, and obviously if everyone would have a chance to do it.
I'll be honest with you though. I think Jerome Payne would be a fit in any team. And I mean that in any team. I think if you're a contending team or you think you're ready for the Super Bowl and you're that one player away, he's great. I think if you're in rebuild, he's someone you can build your defense around. Mm-hmm. So I think he could go anywhere if that is the case. And
he could.
Someone out there is probably going to be willing to pay him 20+ million.
And the big shock for me today was finding out that he's on the non-exclusive tag, which means that any team can come in, offer him a big contract. And if we if he agrees to one, then we have right of first refusal to match it, and he signs with us because we get the right of first refusal, so he has to sign with us. If we don't, because it's too much money, then we get 2 first rounders. Now again, highly unlikely someone's going to put 2 first rounders into him. Highly unlikely. However, but what that does though, that actually shops him around though, doesn't it? Before, normally when you think of a tag, you think of the actual exclusive tag. Only you can speak to us, nobody else for this year. But if they're for the non-exclusive, they're actually letting people, you know, talk to him and maybe
the agents will be talking. Of course they will be. Yeah, of course they will be.
They're going to be driving that price up rather than down. You know what I mean?
But at the same time, I honestly can't see people coming in with 2 first rounders for him. I really can't see that happening.
But as you said, though, he's that elite. Do you build your team around him? Are you a Super Bowl contender? Do you go all in like a Rams? You see what I mean? So those things it's unlikely. Don't get me wrong, but you know it's still an option.
It is.
Maybe.
We'll move on then to our segment, which is your bit of a whinge, bit of a rant. If you've got one, it's Scouse's sizzle.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think tonight's one's more about Dan Snyder again. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail on him, but because we all know how much we all love him. But in general, he just needs to fuck off, and all these things that's coming out at the moment about these like indemnities that he wants from the NFL, like I mentioned a bit earlier, so to allow him to get out. You know, just fuck off. If you went, all this bad news and press will just go away from you, mate. It'll be gone. And the one I've been my biggest sizzle at the moment with this is about like kind of some of the stories that have been out there at Twitter at the moment. You know, the fan base is going mental because of the possible Lamar Jackson situation where he could end up coming to us, and it's like as we just mentioned through the show, we don't really have a lot of money at the moment, but it is a damn thing, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? There's always going to be an element of it's crazy, but it could happen because Dan Snyder.
It's the ultimate FU, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean?
It's the ultimate FU because he goes fully guaranteed 250 mil or maybe even 300 mil, 6-year deal. He hasn't got to pay it because only the first year he'll have to pay. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. And then leave Bezos or whoever else buys the club with a massive bloody debt for him. And it fucks up the whole QB market again for everybody else, for every other team who's trying to get under the quarterback. So it will destroy everybody, and that's the best way for Dan Snyder to go, whap, fuck you, see you later.
So for 60, let's just say 60 million guaranteed in escrow, first year, all he has to pay, and you're going to get 6.5 billion. You owe $1 billion.
Exactly. So what's 60 million to 6 billion? Exactly. You see what I mean? It's not even a penny on the pound, if that makes sense. It's not even that much. So it's like, come on, it's nothing for him. So once he sells, he's got his money. Bye. Unlucky boys, you're fucked. But what he'll say is, hey, I brought around a franchise quarterback. We've not had that for 30 years, boys, and we've done it.
He could say it's a legacy.
And he could say it like that. I'm leaving a legacy with a quality QB, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and a lot of fans, some of them believe in it as well. I mean, and to be fair, I say there's an element of, I think there's got to be an element of truth. There can't just be purely 100% speculation on it. It just makes sense, like that he would do something stupid like that, just as one last kick in the balls to the fans and to the NFL owners and to everybody else. And that's how much of a scumbag this guy is. He just needs to go, man. I'm sick and tired of speaking about his name. I'm sick and tired of him trying to fuck us this year as well. Honestly, man, I just like, honest to God, like, just go away. I'm sick and tired of fucking seeing your face.
Would you? Yeah, it's interesting. I really can't see this happening. As we've said, let's move on. Let's look at it and say we've got 16.5 million. We are not in the market for Lamar Jackson. But that little devil in my mind is the same as you.
Exactly.
Because there's teams that are coming out saying, we're not going for him. We're not going for him. We're not going for him. And it's like, where is he going to go? I think the Raiders have said no. The Jets have said no.
But nobody's going to pay the guaranteed money that he wants. He wants serious money.
Or the 2 first rounders as well. That's the other thing.
That's easy. To be fair, right? This is a franchise QB you're talking about.
It is. You're right. You're absolutely
Talent-wise, it's all there. You know, he's a good passer, not a great passer. But then the thing is, though, is that he's never had any real weapons. If he was in our team with our weapons, watch him explode. Yeah, and his legs, obviously. Blah, blah, blah. You know how good he is as a runner. He's injury prone, yes, because of the running ability. Now, if he hasn't got to run as much, he's going to get a lot less chance of getting hurt. Those things, so all those things can mix and match, you know. And talent-wise, no one's saying, "Oh, he's not good enough." It's all about, "Oh my God, your fucking money you want is insane." But how many times do the 26-year-old true franchise quarterbacks come on the market? Zero. Well, that's why he's like, hey. That's why he's like, well, I want minimum Deshaun Watson contract.
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, that guy's a scumbag. He's not even played for 18 months. Okay, I'm injured the last couple of years, injuries, whatever. So you could say, well, I've not played as much in the last 18 months, 2 seasons. Deshaun Watson hasn't played any, but yet he gets that ridiculous deal. So he wants at least that, if not more, which is understandable if you're in his thought process. You think I'm a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson as well, which I think he is.
What's Mahomes on? Is he on 50 mil a year?
Yeah. He's a 500 mil, but he's a 10-year
deal. So it's a 10-year deal.
Yeah. So for him, it's about 49 average on the cap, the way he work it, you know.
I mean,
so it's kind of
he's got to be seething now, seeing some of the money that people are paying for quarterbacks. Yeah. I mean, the Browns just totally and utterly effed it up. Then you've had the Russell Wilson trade, which again,
and look at his money. And
unbelievable.
Look at those. So think about you making 2 draft picks before about Jackson. 2 draft picks, 2 firsts, yeah? What did Wilson go for?
4 first rounders, wasn't it? And 2 second rounders, I think.
It was something ridiculous.
3?
I don't think it was that many. I don't think it was that many as in like first, but there was like about 6 picks and 2 of them were first rounders. Deshaun Watson, same again. Minimum 2 first rounders plus extras. So on that respect, he's cheap. He's less draft capital than those 2 were.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
You don't get a guy in 26. Russell Wilson's on his way out. He's 33. Let's face it. He's not the same quarterback he was 5 years ago. You know, Deshaun Watson, you don't know what he's going to be. I mean, he's probably going to get better again because he's young enough, but he's still older than Lamar is.
And the other way you could look at it is, do you risk it and hope that an older quarterback is there, and Aaron Rodgers, that type of quarterback who isn't going to come in? But
he's 50 mil. He's 50 mil for a year.
Exactly. He's 50 mil a year.
You know, so why would you go for a 38, 39-year-old who's on his way out, who probably doesn't really want to be there, where you could get a Lamar who's from the area, by the way. He lives in Baltimore. See what I mean?
Well, John Taman's already offered to give him a lift to every game, so he'll pick him up in the Prius, so no worries about that.
Yeah, I mean, and this is it. You know, how many times do these QBs come around, as in like available, that team's going to let go? Very rare, mate. Very rare.
It is very rare. You're right.
You know, last one you probably think is Drew Brees, but that's only because they actually got another first-round pick. They got Rivers at a similar time because he didn't trust his arm. It was going to come back on his shoulder injury. Really bad injury.
I could see Lamar going, but not here. I could see Lamar going.
Oh, he's definitely going. He's definitely going. Someone's going to get him. Someone's going to. He's not going to be signing that non-exclusive tag, mate. I'm telling you that.
No way. I think we could see a Colts job here. I think that's something that Jim Irsay would probably do. You know, he's a crazy owner as well. And they haven't had a quarterback since Luck disappeared and decided, look, I'm going to retire.
Just a few more lines. Just a few more lines one day, Irsay, and you'd be fine. You'd be signing, no problem.
Yeah, that's it.
But you see, like there's a case for and there's a case against. Do you know what I mean? With Jackson, he's got an injury record. You probably say he's not a great thrower, but he's good enough. But it's his age. He's not even done it. I don't think he's at his prime yet. People say he's going on his way down, which just because the second season was MVP season doesn't mean that he's going down. I mean, the stats show that he is a bit less than that. But obviously, he doesn't have a team. He doesn't have any offensive line around him. He doesn't have anything. And I kind of find it weird, really, that he never had any real weapons to throw to.
He had nothing.
Yeah,
Andrews. Who was the guy, wide receiver that went to Hollywood Brown, wasn't it?
Hollywood Brown, Devin Duvernay. These guys aren't that great. You know what I mean? They're no Terry. They're no Samuel. They're no Jahan. So it's like it'd be day and night. But the problem is the knock-on effect it would cost if we did get him for that huge contract and that huge guarantee money. Payne would be traded instantly. Sweat or Chase would be gone as well straight away, and maybe even Curl because you couldn't be able to afford him either. So that's the problem you're going to have. You see, if you get him, you're going to lose some of your key players. So it's such a hard one. It's
almost like a partial rebuild, isn't it? Then, if you're going to get someone of that ilk to come into,
we're not Super Bowl bound, mate. You know what I mean? So you know what? At least you got the quarterback, and you can always build around with talent in the draft over the years. Over the years, you got the quarterback then. So.
That's true.
Yeah, it's hard, man. It's a hard one. Obviously, if he was like 200 mil guarantee, then you probably with 5-year deal or 6-year deal, you probably stretch to it. Do you know what I mean? But being 250 or maybe even 300 mil for 6 years, that's a lot of bread. Do you know what I mean? So I understand why teams won't go for him, but talent-wise, all day long.
Let's put it this way, then. You're the GM, Scouse.
Right.
Are you doing it? You know that Snyder, you go to Dan Snyder, and all right, yeah, you go to him, and he says, "I'm willing to do whatever you want to do," but you're the GM. You've had a word with Ron. Ron's open to the idea. What are you doing? Are you pulling the trigger, or are you going?
I would definitely speak to Lamar and see what he wants. Is there any room for negotiation a little bit further down? I know he's not going to go like less than 200 because Baltimore offered him something like 180 guaranteed, and he said no. So I can understand. So he's definitely going to be more than that. But can we get him down from that 250 to say 2 or 210, something like that? Which 40 mil is a big difference, you know. I'll definitely look into it 100%. I mean, if it is something ridiculous like 300 mil, 50 mil per year guaranteed, I'd have to say no. But then I know for a fact I'd be 50-50. I'll be sitting there going, I want to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to make this big time splash. I want to make sure that we got the quarterback for the future. And don't forget, he's probably going to be about 10 years, if not more, in the league left in him of good quality ball. And you think, okay, yeah, it's going to cost me a lot of money to get him, but and if I have to get rid of Payne and Sweat
and if he enjoys it here after 2 years, could you look to restructure that contract potentially?
Maybe, but that's obviously if Lamar would even be willing to even talk. I mean, let's face it, he doesn't have to talk to anybody, and he is quite hard negotiated because he doesn't have his own agent, which is
he's his own. He's himself, isn't he?
Him himself and his mum, supposedly. So, but yeah, I mean, for me, I probably would buy if it was like 250 6 years, probably would. I'm not gonna lie, I probably would.
Wow.
And what I'd do is I would trade Sweat and Payne.
Wow,
a similar type of thing we mentioned before, but maybe the draft, trading for like, a high up pick like to Seattle or something, and see if we can and then acquire more picks.
Any other couch GMs out there who are listening to this or watching this on YouTube, please shout us out at 1 Point Safety 4 and give us your take on Scouse's interest in Lamar.
I know it's not going to be it's going to be against the grain a little bit, but yeah, I mean, as I say, we've not had a franchise quarterback. Never. And I'm talking probably since fucking Sammy Baugh.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Thiessen wasn't really a franchise quarterback. He was a scrub. He was in the XFL and all sorts of shit before we got him. And he's one of our legendary quarterbacks. Doug Williams wasn't very good overall in his career. He was a backup for most of his career. Okay, don't get me wrong, brilliant Super Bowl legend, all the rest of it. Yeah, sure. But true franchise quarterback, no. See what I mean?
Seen one.
We've not had one. RG3, he could have been if he didn't be so stupid and blow his own knee out. His own ego got in the way. Maybe he could have been. But besides that, we've not had anybody even with the potential to be a franchise quarterback. You could say with Howell, I do like Howell. It's just a case of, you know what you're getting with Lamar.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting. And he's going to get you more wins. He's just going to get you more wins. And imagine what Bieniemy could do with him. You know what I mean? So those things for me, it's kind of like, you keep Howell, you give him the teaching, stuff like that. If Lamar wants to leave or he's not happy there, or and he wants to trade out, we've got Howell as the main backup, and that's still a good position to be in.
Well, that's the other thing. We say we've got 16.5 million cap space. We've got to find a backup QB. You know what I mean? Someone's got to come in here, and that's going to cost money. It's not.
Yeah, you're not going to be Jake Fromm, are you? You're not going to be Jake Fromm. £1 million, 1 million practice squad quarterback. No, it's not going to be that, is it? So you're looking at your Heineke's, looking at your Brissett's.
Yeah, well, Andy Dalton was something like 4 million last year, I think, playing for the Saints. And again, talking of that, there's been a couple of interesting news bits around the NFL. So Derek Carr has signed for the New Orleans Saints as their new QB. I think it was just over 35 mil a year on the cap for him. I don't know how every year the Saints do this, but they seem to be constantly in negative cap space, but they end up with signing these players, which is just, it baffles my head. I kind of looked around the NFC East and I just looked at what we've got, and Philly are the same. Philly are, looking at, they've got to pay Jalen Hurts, they've got contracts coming out of their ears, they're really going to struggle against the cap this year. The Giants are exactly the same, and the Cowboys are exactly the same as well. Cowboys are in negative cap space of 11 mil at the moment, and the Giants
they'll just cut Zeke, though. That's what happened with him.
Possibly, yeah. I mean,
that's all they'll have to do is cut Zeke. And what I think they'll do is, I think they'll go and get running back in round one. I think they'll go and get like Bijan or Bijan Robinson.
Yeah. Or is it Jackson Ajigba is the other one? Is he a running back? I don't know.
I think he's a wide receiver.
Oh, is he?
Njigba.
Maybe.
Njigba, yeah. Ohio State.
Is it Bijan Robinson's the one who's?
He's probably going to be RB1 probably.
Is he Texas?
Might be Texas.
Yeah, I think I couldn't remember where he's from.
Unsure.
But shows you how much attention I pay.
But the running backs, I mean, but again, it's hard to lose. With how good these quarterbacks are, these running backs are coming out this year. So, but yeah, I can definitely see Dallas doing that 100%.
So looking at this, we've got a bit of news here on franchise tags that finished on. I think the deadline was it Monday? I think was the deadline. It might have even been Tuesday. But yeah, we've got the franchise tags here. So Tony Pollard was franchise tagged by Dallas for the non-exclusive. In fact, the all non-exclusive tags. That was 10.1 million. We've got Deron Payne non-exclusive for us, 18.9 million. Lamar Jackson non-exclusive tag, 32.5 million. Evan Ingram of the Jaguars non-exclusive tight end, 11.3 mil. Josh Jacobs, 10.1 at Las Vegas. And then Saquon Barkley was tagged lastminute.com with the Giants at 10.1 million as well, which led to the Giants paying Daniel Jones 40 million a year. Do you know the actual contract? Was it 160 million? Was it?
Yeah,
his contract.
It's a 4-year deal. 160 mil guaranteed, I think, and then 35 million in incentives.
In incentives on top.
So that's basically $195 million deal, 4 years, and he's bank average. But yeah, he's close to that 200 million mark, and yet no one wants to talk about Lamar Jackson.
For an extra 50 mil. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean,
I know what you're saying.
So it's
mad though, isn't it? I mean, we thought Carson Wentz was expensive at 28 million.
Yeah. No.
And I mean, you now can see the levels, can't you? You know what I mean? I mean, would you say Jones is better than Wentz? I would probably say yes.
100%.
Is he a $40 million quarterback? No, not for me.
But these things go up all the time, don't they?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like
exactly.
if he was restructuring his contract, say maybe 3 years ago, he'd be on 25 mil, 20 mil, like Wentz was. See what I mean? So and then now he's worth 40 because he had one good season. So it's kind of like everything goes up with inflation, doesn't it? And quarterback is definitely that way. So.
I tell you what, they are not getting him any weapons, that's for sure, unless they're going to use the draft purely on wide receivers because...
they're going to have to, aren't they? Let's face it. But they've got a solid O-line. The running back's still there because they tagged him. And
defense is pretty decent.
They've got an okay tight end as well, especially in the red zone, Bollinger. And then, Yeah, it needs some receivers. Yeah, sure, but yeah, it's not bad. It's not a bad offense, if you think about it. I think get a few receivers, like 2 really good ones, say.
I think that guy.
Draft.
I think at the moment that guy Hodges, who kind of burnt us in them 2 games. I think he's.
Oh yeah, Isaiah Hodges.
He's their wide receiver 1 at the moment, which is just.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he is realistically in our team, for example, he'd be wide receiver 3 at best. At
4.
best. Yeah, exactly.
4, 5. Best.
That's what I'm saying.
When you think about it, like you got Samuel, you got McLaurin, you got Jahan. Is he better than Brown? I don't know.
I'd probably say yeah, because he's done more than Brown. But yeah.
Don't forget, Brown got a couple of touchdowns against the Titans last year.
But when was he burning people to death like Hodgins was though?
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Especially against RD twice. So,
But then that maybe says something about our back end of our cornerbacks. I don't know.
We need corner. We need corner big time.
Well, speaking of that, we've got to move on to my final bit on our final segment here then. I've had a quick look at the top 150 free agents around the NFL, and thanks to JPA Football for printing that out and putting that out on Twitter. I had a good look at that. I haven't even looked at the top 50. It's just not going to happen when we're not shopping in that end. You know what I mean? We're not shopping in the top end of that. And there's a few names I've come up with here. So the 45th, he was 45th on the list actually, was Bobby Okereke he's a linebacker from the Colts, looking at about 6 to 8 million market value for him.
Mate, how bad was the Colts deal last year?
I know.
Do you really want to get these type of dudes?
Or would you rather
David Mayo back?
Would you rather? Well, we've got David Mayo back. Would you rather pay?
Give me Bostic then.
Would you rather pay? Would you rather pay Cole Holcomb 5-6 mil? I don't know, and then maybe look at linebacker in a draft.
I'd say probably a prove it deal for Holcomb. Probably 1 year, 3-4 million.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the vet minimum is kind of what they were talking about.
Because he's been injured, hasn't he? So he can't really command a big fee. So if he wasn't injured, he had a good season, then maybe he could have gone on a more money, big deal. But nah, at the moment. But I'd rather have him than the guy who doesn't know the system.
Foster Moreau was another one, tight end from Las Vegas. He's looking at around about 6 mil ish, which again you could finesse that slightly. You could pay him less the first year, put some money into signing bonuses there, so there's less going against the cap, and then maybe look to potentially cut Logan Thomas. Sorry, Burrows, but yeah, I mean,
I just can't see it. I mean, don't forget. I mean, look what Ron said, that he's looking forward to seeing Thomas back and all this. So I can't see him cutting Thomas. I mean, I understand the point and the kind of the cap and all the rest of it, and it could be useful. Get younger, get a bit. I mean, maybe Moreau's class is better than Thomas nowadays. But I just can't see it just because of what Ron said. To be honest with you, I mean, it's, as you mentioned, it's workable. If you cut him and you could probably get him for similar money than what Logan was, so wouldn't be massive over the top paying for us, on the cap hit itself. So, but I just can't see it, mate. I just can't see it because Ron likes Thomas.
So you got Isaac Simalio. I can't even pronounce his surname. He's a Samoan descent Hawaiian guy from Philadelphia, left guard. 30 years old. Kyle from the Burgundy Zone is really high on him. He's 30, yeah. I've seen a bit of film on him as well. He looks a solid guy. Got a 75.2 PFF grade. I mean, you can take PFF with a pinch of salt, but he was in the top 7 for guards and for left guard in particular.
I mean, do you think that he's peaked then? Do you think that he's peaked? Because don't forget, we got Norwell at 30 years old. Look at the state of him. So, do you know what I mean?
Anything's more serviceable than Norwell, surely.
But Norwell was a Pro Bowler a few years ago. Oh, good he is. No, shit. Same with the other dude who's gone now, the right guard, on our team.
Trey Turner.
That's right, Turner. Noel's still got a year left on his deal, which I think is a disgrace, to be honest.
Yeah, but you can cut him and save $3 million on the cap.
Cut him. I mean, but again, you're going to be paying that guy if he's like top 7.
10 mil is what they reckon.
This is going to be his last main big contract. So he's going to want, probably a 10
million deal. A 2-year, $20 million deal overall.
Yeah, or he may want 3 for 30. Do you know what I mean?
He maybe go 3 years with a voyage year at the end or something like that, and you finesse it that way again. But yeah, interesting.
But the thing is, though, you mentioned all this stuff, void years. When was the last time that us, as in
we've never done that?
We've never done that. Ever used that, mate, ever once. You know, we're not smart enough to be able to do it properly without being burned. You know,
and this is what I keep coming back to. The most important job on your entire team is the capologist, the guy who deals with that cap and can work it out penny by penny.
But you need money up front to be able to wrangle the cap. You know what I mean? And that's where Dan Snyder's letting us down as an owner. So
I agree.
You know, like don't forget when Dan first started, he was throwing all sorts of money at it.
He was.
You know what I mean? He was making big splashes, big money. Didn't work out, but
you could also say we've got a couple of big splashes over the last couple of years. I suppose there's always one, as you said last year. There's always seems to be one that is around the 10-ish million, 20 million, 2 years, that sort of deal. We had the same. Curtis Samuel was one. William Jackson was another one.
What a bust that was.
Well, exactly. But at the time, he was one of the top free agents.
Top free agents of a premium position. However, what was he? He was on press man corner.
Yeah.
So what do? We play him loads of zone because we play mostly zone in our secondary. Stupidity from who? The whole team, the whole coaching staff, the GM for allowing it to happen. Mayu, Herney, those dudes. Stupidity. It's like, mate, this guy's not going to fit in your team. He's not going to fit. What's the point in spending top cornerback money for a guy who's just going to be absolutely shit?
He just got injured at the Steelers, didn't he?
He had a bad back, didn't he? Yeah,
bad back, so they didn't have to give us any compensation. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so he's on the injury reserve now, isn't he? Well,
he is, yeah.
Last season he was, anyway. Yeah.
And that's about it, really. We got McKinnon from Kansas City as a running back. We spoke about he's probably going to want $5 million a year, thereabouts.
Yeah, and the thing is, as well, it's like he's good. Don't get me wrong, but he's we've already got that. We've already got two guys like that. We've got
we're not getting
Gibson.
And we've signed Jonathan Williams again. So yeah, I can't see how that happens.
I mean, Williams isn't a McKinnon, but McKinnon's a pass catching running back, really. So he's a bit like the Swiss Army, like that we have with Samuel. So we've got Samuel and we've got Gibson who can do that as well. So I think he's a no-go for us, mate, to be fair.
Agreed. But they're the ones that I've seen anyway, and I thought could take a flyer on these. We're looking, as we said, second to third tier free agents. Don't be surprised if we sign some no marks, some Carolina and Buffalo Bills players. I don't.
Isn't it painful though? Isn't it painful to see that? Thinking, we can't even build a decent roster. They're all these you've got some elite guys, and then you've got just some absolutely dog shit players. And we can't get in between. We can't get good.
Rashad Wildgoose.
Yeah, I mean, this Castro Fields, everyone's going on about him, how good he is. Not seen him on the field. Not done anything.
Yeah,
Castro injury prone. Yeah, all the rest of it. These guys are not healthy, mate.
Gary, was it? Is it?
Oh yeah, the linebacker. Yeah, he signed again for the year, hasn't he?
Yeah, yes, Milo Eifler.
Another guy injury prone, Milo Eifler. He's been with one for 3 years with us here. Crazy, have you seen him on the field? No, he's been injured for most of it. It's a joke, man.
Yeah, so we signed Nathan Gary, Milo Eifler. We've signed Jonathan Williams, and we've signed David Mayo, and we've re-signed Rashad Wildgoose. They were our kind of future contracts re-signings. I
understand you've got to have depth. I understand that, but most of these guys aren't good enough to be on the field. That's the problem.
But every single one of them made the field, though. That's the thing.
Who?
All of them played last season.
You mean Gary? It was like three snaps where he'd done his leg, and that was it. You mean that?
Yeah, and then you've got but all the others.
Castro Fields didn't see anyone.
He didn't see a field, but the rest of them they've all played last year at some point.
Toast.
I know.
Burnt toast, mate. Wild goose.
Eli Apple's a free agent.
Well, he's better than them, but he's still.
But yeah, you got anything else for them, Scouts? Because I think that's us about done. I think, to be honest, we're there. I'll leave you to looking like a pimp in your dressing gown there. Pimping it out if you're watching on YouTube. He's there. If you have got any questions as we keep the mic rolling during the off season, I'm pretty certain we'll have more news coming out in the next couple of weeks that we can spin this out a little bit longer.
Yeah, when Lamar signs for us.
or Dan Snyder sells. Yeah, one of the two. We will keep it going.
More chance of Lamar. To be fair, the way it's going, to more chance of Lamar actually coming than with Dan Snyder leaving. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's true. But yeah, if you've got anything that you want to talk about, please let us know. We can be found at 1PointSafety4 on Twitter, at ScouseAndy20 and at ScottyH84. Thanks for joining us as always. We really appreciate it. The numbers have kept steady, so really good. And whoever's listening to us in Singapore and Papua New Guinea, we thank you very much, because we've got a new country on there, two new countries actually on there. So yeah, thanks for listening to us. And that's about us. So thanks again, and we'll catch up with you next Thursday, and this will land in your feed next Friday. Take care, everyone.
Bye.